Have you found that in any season of your life, maybe particularly this one, because I feel like this is a divine intervention and connection. Okay, great. Have you felt like you're just not motivated? You're not connected to where you're at. You're not satisfied. You don't feel contentment. You just feel like, oh, I can't wait till I get to the thing that I see. I can't wait till God goes ahead and answers the prayer that I've been praying, because this right here, this job, this relationship, this family, this whatever, like this isn't it. And so it's bringing up this disdain in you. Can we talk about it? Because I think I have something that's going to actually make you go, ooh, I feel better now. Who knew? I did. God did. But go ahead first and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and then we'll get into it, okay? But go ahead and go. Okay. So we tend to get to places in life that we tend to get frustrated. Why? Because we are mere humans. We are that of clay, and we don't understand or perceive most time God's ultimate plan for our lives. And I looked at the story of Joseph and was like, bruh, I got the answer. We describe good different. I talked about that before, but it bears repeating. We describe good on if it looks good, if it feels good, and if we deem it good through whatever our particular good filter is. And God doesn't describe good that way. When you look at Genesis 1, he said, let there be light, and it was good. And he said, oh, okay, all right. God said that it was good. And then the second day he separated, he did all the things up until creating man. He was like, oh, he said something, did something. It happened the way that he purposed it for it to be. And he called it good. Then when he created man and said, let us make man in our own image. And then seeing that Adam was alone, he was like, it is not good for man to be alone. Now, wait a minute. That's the first time God said something's not good. How come that wasn't good? Because good in God's eyes is described that is it the way in which I purposed it to work in, the way that I intended it for be. When I said light, light came, that's good. When I said trees, do whatever it's supposed to do, it did what it's supposed to do. And you know what? That was good. But if I'm saying let us make man in our own image, and it's only one, and it's us being a triune Godhead, he's by himself. That's not good. That's not the way I intended it. And so that made me think, okay, so when we're going through life and things don't feel good, because we could use the story of Joseph and be like, bruh, none of that was good. His brother sold him, and then he was sold to 20 pieces of silver to be a slave. And then he was given to Potiphar's house. And then Potiphar's wife lied on him. So then he went to prison after that. And then after prison, he helping people and they forgetting about him. And like really read Genesis 37 all the way up to 41. You'll be like, bro, this is like every time I look around like, bro, he got the worst luck. This is ridiculous. Because if we look through our lens, we won't see any of that being good. But when I switched it now to the way that God sees good, God's way of looking at good is it getting you closer to or shaping you closer to the intended purpose that I have for you? Because when he created Adam, it's not that he called Adam not good. He said Adam being alone isn't good. And then went on whatever journey he needed to do, put him in a deep sleep, took out his rib and created the woman and was like, there it is. And God didn't call Eve good. Adam confirmed, oh, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. That's how we know that it was good. So when you go back and you look at Joseph and say, okay, so if good is not the way that we describe it, how can I look at Joseph's life and pull out the good? Sir, ma'am, the fact that the timing was impeccable. You mean to tell me the time that his brothers came up with this huge plan of wanting to sell him just so happens to be the time that the Ishmaelite Midianite traders came. Just so happened to be they got exactly the right amount of money to go ahead and sell. And okay, we can make this transaction, 20 pieces of silver from my brother. Okay, great. They give him the Potiphar. He's doing an amazing job. God is letting him succeed and do all kind of things. The Bible says Potiphar didn't worry about nothing but what to eat. You hear me? Like it was like, listen, kick your feet up because JoJo's in town. You understand? And so it was amazing. And then, you know, that level of influence and power is attractive to certain women. So Potiphar's wife tried to sleep with Joseph, but because he had integrity, he was like, have a nice day. So she lied on him. And although that's not good, it got him closer to a prison guard. Now he's learning how to go ahead and get the institutional leadership skills. Like now he's really developed. It was one thing to be the organizer of the slaves in Potiphar's house. It's another thing to be like, okay, it's the institution in place. So now you governing people, you making good and networking with the wardens. Like now he's getting a different level of skill set. And it's like, okay, now on the other side that we don't see, Pharaoh is upset with his cupbearer and his baker. And they disrespected him. He took offense. And so he threw him in prison. And it just so happened that the cupbearer and the baker gets assigned to Joseph. They two separately have two different dreams that troubled them. Joseph went ahead and asked God for help and was able to interpret them. Then told the cupbearer and them, don't forget about me when you get out, because he wasn't supposed to be here. Bible says 2 years later, Pharaoh has two separate dreams. Coincidence? Timing? God. Two separate dreams with two different meanings that literally was almost the same thing. That Joseph went ahead, the cupbearer was like, yo, I know this Hebrew boy, Joseph, like he helped me 2 years ago. And Pharaoh sent for him. And long story short, once Joseph did all that God was calling him to do, Pharaoh made Joseph second in command. We don't see the good when we're in it. We don't see the good while it's happening. And if we're not wise enough to discern that if it's not good yet, then God is still working on it. If it's not good yet, I should be sticking to it. But you need a litmus test on if you're sticking through it for your big idea or your laziness or your stagnation. You need to be able to differentiate. Am I staying because I'm staying, or am I staying because God's still here? And how do you discern that? The Bible says with Joseph that everywhere that Joseph went, God caused him to succeed. That means he had favor. We don't see nobody else ahead of Pharaoh and ahead of Potiphar's home and the prison war. We don't see nobody else being the head person in charge. We don't see any of that anywhere else but with Joseph. Where are you getting that favor? How is it that you're not asking for promotion? How is it that you didn't go to school for this? How is it that you didn't kind of rub elbows and kind of be teacher's pet to get this? You did nothing in your own strength to be seen in a way where you can actually be put in a place of promotion and to be able to sustain that with no background in this, nothing that made it say, oh, he's the man for the job outside of it. Gotta be God's hand on you. So newsflash, when you're going through something and it could be perceived as not good, how you know to stay in that is if you still see God's hand on you, if you're still producing good fruit, if you're still producing favor, if you still see success, if you still see that how you were 2 years ago, you're not like that now, that this environment, this location, these circumstances is changing you for the good, inner and outer. Like if you can still see that, then you stick to it. And what you'll start to see is that the dots will start to connect. You ever seen when we were younger, we got the little connect the dot things that we did, and you could sometimes look at the picture right away, be like, oh, that's an elephant, that's a turtle, that's a butterfly. But then there were certain dots that you couldn't really see until you actually filled the whole thing up and connected it in the order, in the way it should go. And then you were able to see, oh, that's what this is. That's the same thing with our lives. And you could see it perfectly illustrated in Joseph's. It took his brothers to do what they did, to sell them to the Midianite traders, to then have them give him to Potiphar's house. Then for Potiphar's wife to tell the lie that she did, that then got him down to prison, that then he went ahead and met the cupbearer and the baker that was sent to prison with Pharaoh, and he relieves the cupbearer of his whatever. When he gets released, he serves Pharaoh for another 2 years, and then he remembers, oh yeah, that was Buddy that went ahead and interpret my dream when he was in the prison. And so now they get him, and when you connect that dot, all of this led him to the palace. That's how you determine what's good in your life. That's where you determine, am I sticking to it, or is God navigating me to something that I can't see? I'm sure Joseph didn't think that all these other previous plot points, that it was all leading to the palace. But he could confirm, like, yo, it's undeniable that I'm successful here. It's undeniable that I'm still able to do things that other people aren't able to do. It's no denying that I'm not doing this in my own strength. There's no denying that. So you stick to it. And you understand that there is a vehicle of transportation for every season of your life. Don't get out prematurely, because it's all getting you to the bigger goal. Some things God's going to have you ride a bike in. Other things you're going to have to get on the boat. Some things you're going to have to get in the airplane. Other things you have to get in the car. There's some things you're going to have to get in the truck for. There's other things you're going to have. And you just relax and let God lead, and just remind yourself, I'm not married to consistency and uniformity and sameness. I'm married to whatever it is that God has for me. And you see that through. And you make sure that you have a hands-off experience, and you remind yourself, this is the vehicle for this season. This is not my life forever. This is the job that is going to allow me to pay my bills and do what I need to do for this season. I'm not going to be stuck here forever. This is the place that I live at now for this season. This is not going to be for my forever. Sometimes we exaggerate as humans. You can look in the Bible and see that it's just like the Israelites were like, oh, did you have us to die in the wilderness? You have it with the disciples. Wake Jesus up like, don't you care that we're going to perish? Like, sometimes we overdo it. Sometimes we exaggerate. Sometimes we have a bad week at the job and we like, I can't do this no more. I hate it here. It's like, wait a minute. Nobody asks you to connect to good that's not good. We just ask that you connect to what good is this doing for me, for my purpose. If you understand your purpose is over there and it's not good here, good, it's not supposed to be. Then you will be tricked on trying to go ahead and build your tent and your home in the wilderness when you were always meant for the promised land. So it's not supposed to be good. You would get too comfortable. You ain't supposed to enjoy being single. You wouldn't crave being married. You're not supposed to enjoy this particular job. You would lose your passion for what God had for you. And when he tells you to let that go, you'll be struggling. You're not supposed to enjoy it. So just be okay. It's good because it's working for your good. It's working getting you towards good. It's working for the ultimate plan that God said was good for your purpose, for your life. Do you understand? But listen, I feel like you got what you needed. Did you like this video? Subscribe to the channel. Do all the YouTube things because we're here now. Okay, great. Hey, YouTube. The podcast, Strive, the letter N as in Nancy, Inspire. So Strive, N, Inspire. Created to multiply.com for merch. The eCourse. All the things, because she uses her gift of encouragement where God tells her to do it. She does. But you have podcasts and merch and websites to look at. I won't be the holdup. So I'm going to go ahead and let me go. We talk later. You know I do these videos every Thursday. Yeah, that's when we talk. Okay, we talk later. Later.